Right.
All right, we're back. Episode 6 of our playthroughs through AI, the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative. Last time we had discovered that Mizuki was the product of some genetic experiments at Horodori Institute, which explains her superhuman ability. Um, Also, kind of, I guess, learned that her parents weren't her actual parents, which is kind of weird. And so, yeah, so we just start kind of, I guess, learning more about what's going on at the Horodori Institute, um,
Yes. We've been
which,
directed there by balloon signals. Terror
yes,
wants us
yes,
to, wants us to find out the truth. Apparently, he's toying with us,
yes,
playing around. He knows he has the upper hand, and yeah, we have Lion with us.
yes.
He's our uh, our lockpick, our sleuth partner. And every time that you look around for like 30 seconds, he'll be like, "Oh no, a guard's coming," and then you'll have to do the same little quick time event just to get the opportunity to keep looking for
Yeah,
the
what
mysterious things.
what was the mysterious thing that you had to find? I forget because like that took me a while to
Um,
actually
it
click
did.
on.
I almost feel like it doesn't appear until you do it a certain number of times because it's just sitting there on a desk. It's just I think it's like a diary. It's
Yeah,
one of the guards' diaries, and it's just like, oh, there's there's some switch that involves a musical sequence, do re mi
yeah.
stuff, and they each correspond to a number, and yeah, it's like, I don't know, unnecessarily, like a lot of things I guess in the game, kind of contrived, but that's fine. It's cool. It's whatever.
Yeah, and
Um,
then so yeah, we go down there, and I think that's where we discover Tokiko, correct?
yes, half of her is in a machine, and this machine is actually two machines. They are the like nano, cutter device that Terror has been using to sever his victims.
And
So
I
mystery
think,
solved, right? I mean, basically that's it.
well, I think before we get there, right? There is the don't we see like a tooth? There's like DNA.
Oh, yes, there's blood, old blood, and a molar. So someone got
Yes.
punched real hard, or
So
somehow
so
knocked
that
their tooth out.
I believe, yeah. So I believe that was uh, Jin, right? I think if in the beginning when you're doing his X-ray
Hmm.
scans, they know. I don't know if it was the more recent body or the older one, but one of them like
It,
made note that he was missing a molar.
that's right. That's right. I want to say it's the very first one,
So
the
do I.
old 6 years ago body,
Yes.
and the fact that the molar is just left there is really weird. To me, it's like this person was so sure that this would never be found. They didn't even bother to, clean up a tooth and some blood on the ground. That's pretty. It's pretty gangster, I gotta say. They're
Yeah,
pretty confident.
or it's part of the like leading the breadcrumbs so that someone
Mm,
intelligent would be able to solve the crimes that happen and would help I guess
ooh.
achieve moksha or whatever it's called.
Correct, correct. That
So
is the Nirvana Initiative, after all.
yes, it is. So yeah, so we go to the machine splitter. We figured it out, and roll credits. Right, that was it. That's the game. We found the machine. We're
You
good to
can't
go.
see me right now, but I'm doing the Nike's symbol at you across the distance of time and space. Yeah, that's it. That's basically it. Um, no, of course there's another door, right?
Yes.
And there's another basement, a sub basement, in which someone has been spending a lot of time and playing a lot of PC games. It looks like, and making some videos down there.
Is this? Are we getting ahead of ourselves? Because like when do we sync with the masked woman?
Oh, great question. The masked woman is not with us right now, right? It's just Lion. He's back there. He doesn't. I don't think Lion comes into the sub basement. He stays behind, and I think he has a scary encounter with somebody. But no, no, I don't think we're syncing with the masked woman just yet. I could be
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
Um, she she has the sink in a different room of the institute that we never see in person, as far as I know.
Okay.
Because her sink involves, like, experiments being done on people and such. It's quite shocking.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
this is
So
a different kind of room. This is more of an escape room, really. To be to be frank, it's something straight out of one of the 999 VLR type games.
yes. Yes. Correct. Okay. Yeah. Right. So you're down there. Um, I guess we still don't know exactly what the Horridori Institute is up to, but obviously very nefarious things. It seems warranted that they were shut down for unethical practices.
Thank goodness that they got some more investment though from Richie Chieda and got back on their feet, because they were doing important work. S- s-
Uh, ex-
sequestering people in basements and cutting them in half and all this and that. Yeah, no, and I think it's MoMA in one of the investigation portions here. MoMA's the one who's like, they weren't just experimenting on genes and DNA and stuff. They were severing people and sewing them back together. And he's exactly right.
yeah.
I love that. That's like the reveal later. It's like, no,
Yes.
they literally were cutting people in half and putting them back together again.
Yeah,
Uh,
which I guess, we had mentioned at the beginning of this that Mother 3, right? We had some of the similar themes here with the light and
Totally
dark and that kind of stuff. And in that game, there were chimeras all over the place. So it wasn't two humans that they were tying together, but they would take
true.
animals and combine them. Um,
You know, it's and the theme of the mother being important is definitely present here too, because a lot of what seems to be motivating the person sequestered in the sub basement, who presumably is Terror, right? Making videos and whatnot. It is the desire to be loved. We get that a little bit from the diary that's there, and then
yes,
we get it much more in their sync a little bit later.
yes,
All
yes,
the clues revolve around mother's love.
yes.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that's a pretty universal thing, and that these Japanese games just happen to be kind of tapping into it. But maybe there is a peculiar element there of what's motivating these developers and firing their creative inspiration with stuff. So it's a little psychology to be checked into later, I guess.
Yes,
Sorry,
no,
I got a jet plane flying overhead. It's-
uh,
that's on my end.
yes, understood. Okay. Well, okay. So we investigate the basement. We figure all this stuff out. We see kind of Terror's um, den that he's been living in. Um,
Ugh.
Again, I don't know how. When do we sync with the masked woman?
It's got to be pretty soon here. Um, she's um, she's investigating. She's kind of doing her own investigation, right?
Yes.
She's interested in the institute, and I forget exactly how we run into her, because it's after all the balloon stuff.
Yes.
I think it must be in the course of the next day or two. This I want to say Kizuna goes missing again somewhere around here,
Shocking.
but I could be again getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah, yeah. They just go back to that well, don't they? Uh, but yeah, no. At some point shortly after this, we are we're faced with the masked woman's psyche,
Hmm.
which is not a pleasant place. It's a it's a memory. It seems to be a series of really traumatic memories of her being experimented upon
Yes.
down in the institute somewhere.
Yes. And
And the Chikara that comes in and looks for you is just like so creepy. I don't know what to say about that. It's
yeah,
just so
I was
creepy.
going to ask, how did you feel about that? Because I think that's the first Somnium where there was like stealth elements to it, where
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like Metal Gear Solid or for some reason I was thinking of like Ape Escape when you're trying to um, not like alert the monkey. But yes, he's Chikara is like green. He's obviously portrayed as a monster. I mean, which he is, like rightfully so. Uh,
Yeah.
the guy is a piece of garbage. Um, and at some point, he starts talking about his son being born.
Mm, right. Oh, yeah, that's really important, isn't it?
Yes, and then he
Um,
says, what was the thing I said when my there was a password on a computer. Um,
yep. Yep.
so I guess going back, the Somnium is basically, yeah, you're in this laboratory and Chikara's coming in to do experiments, and you have to navigate without getting caught by Chikara. So you do just, you go to like different medical equipment or you hide uh, and that kind of stuff. And I actually thought it was kind of fun. I got caught quite a few times.
Yeah, all of the kind of obvious hiding spots he looks in.
Yes.
You have to go like to the furthest away one in the
Yes.
first case, and then you see him like looking in the cabinets. So it seems like a bad idea to go hide there, but it turns out that's a way to hide up in the pipes in the ceiling actually.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
kind of tricky like that. Yeah, this one does a lot of nice misdirections and stuff. It's an interesting. Yeah, and it's it's like comical a little bit how, over the top weird he is, but it is definitely scary. And what's the scariest about it, I think, is again this aspect of like, what is science, technology doing to us? That's a very Mother Three theme as well, right? Like,
Yes.
that's what the chimeras kind of represent. It's like this is unnatural, this is not good, but our drive for progress, inevitably, we're gonna like do the things that we're forbidden from doing, right? That's
Hmm.
kind of how people that's how we tick. And so, yeah, we sort of see that played out here. Um, and as you hide and conceal yourself, you can eventually rescue one of the test subjects who's represented as a big stuffy bunny rabbit.
Yes.
Um, it's being like electrocuted, and then like a drill is gonna drill into him, and yeah, it's wild.
Very 999 esque there with all the
Oh
torture
yeah, oh yeah.
devices and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, and so eventually, I forget what you do to get out of it, but at a certain point, this is another crossroad somnium. Um, at a
Yes.
certain point, it asks you to enter a word into a computer. If you don't know it, it takes you down one path. I don't really remember what that is, but I do know that it does take us down the path of well, I guess afterward we still don't learn who the masked woman is, correct?
No, we don't learn that just yet.
Yeah.
Masks are coming off, but not quite yet. We actually find out who Terror is before we find out who the masked woman is, which is awesome. I
Really
think that's really cool. At least in the route that I happened to go. Yeah, that's how it played out.
interesting. Oh, right. Because
Yeah.
well, yes, I know we get to Lien um, at a
Yep.
certain point, and we do his somnium as well, which is kind of weird. But I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself right now. Um, so
No, it's all happening in this kind of same general space. Like the order is roughly, like we said before, you do like the more sentimental ones first,
yes,
and then you do like, the ones that actually reveal the truth of the mystery or whatever.
yes,
So yeah, we do have to get to an end for both Gen and Amame. There's an end. There's kind of a dead end for those two. That's very sentimental. And then there's another one that's the dead. The I don't know if you want to call it a dead end, but anyway, a false end really. That revolves around Kazuna and Lion. Um, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So we got some more somniums to do in between though.
Yeah, so I think the one that we have to do is Lien, and he,
Yeah,
uh, oddly enough, it's in Yogagi Park, um,
yeah,
and you can fly, which is only the second. I mean, similar to the swimming at Tokiko's, but where you're like actually
yeah.
moving in three-dimensional space. Um,
Right,
and true
right.
to who Lien is and what defines him, you have to like literally unlock safes,
Yes, yes.
which
And each
is
time you do it, like another one appears. He's got this very interesting sort of psyche of, he does sort of a bad thing, of course, because he's trying to, get out of poverty, whatever. Um, but then he has to keep doing it. Like he keeps trying to stop being that person, but it's the case that he just is who he is, and that's kind of the endearing thing about him.
Yeah, well,
So yeah,
and
gotta
and
keep
he,
unlocking safes.
yeah, but every time you unlock a safe, it becomes like a more precious metal, right? And it also
Mm,
goes up.
mhm,
In terms of
yes.
elevation, low to high, right? So the first one that you open is lead. I think the second one is copper, and then you keep on moving up. So I was thinking this is kind of the um, alchemy, right? The transforming lead into gold. And so this was kind
Yeah.
of his process of going up. Um,
True.
I'm not sure what the heck this high, like low to high. I mean, like I get it. You know, you had to like go look in the trash cans and go like low to high to get whatever password it is um, to progress. Uh, but I just thought it was weird. Like he's trying to ascend. I mean, I guess that's what
Hmm.
Tokiko's doing. Also, that's the other one where you were swimming, but in that one you were going down. Um,
Yeah, that's right.
so I don't know if that was
It's
like
true.
an intentional parallel um, or not. But obviously, as we go through Lien's Somnium, we realize that he has very true feelings for um, Kizzy.
Kizzy-chan. Yeah.
Yes, and then we get another opportunity. After a certain point, we have like two safes that we can open. Um,
Yes.
I think I went with the one that was closer.
Okay.
I
I think
forget
that's
which
the
one.
gold one.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that leads to the Kizzy romantic ending.
Yes.
Um, mhm, mhm. And it's cool because it's like Aiba is kind of giving him the pep talk and is eventually like, "No, you don't need me to help you anymore. Like you have the answer within yourself." And that's kind of a nice way to go with it. Um, and then yeah, we do sort of. I think that's the point at which that might be the point at which we find out who the masked woman is if we go that route. I'm
I
not
believe
sure.
that is the case because I think I learned
Okay.
that before I learned the other part. Um,
Okay.
so I guess let's spoil it now, right? The masked
It's
woman is
Big Sis. Dun
yes,
dun dun.
yes. It all is making sense now. Why Kizzy was calling Mizuki Big Sis, and that's because Kazuna actually had a big sis whose name was actually Mizuki as well and looked identical. Um,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and so,
But there's more. But there's more. It makes continually more sense the more you talk it through. So like, yeah, she gets like shot in the face as you're fighting off some assassins, and then the mask breaks and falls off. It's like, oh,
yes,
I guess that NASA glue eventually wears off. It's like, okay.
yes,
Um,
yes,
and and it turns out that this is the source of our Mizuki's DNA, right? We are cloned from this original Mizuki
hmm
who was experimented on to begin with by the Oridori people, and who was eventually adopted by Richie himself from ION. And so they know each other and they resemble each other very closely. And it's like eight sort of resolution to a lot of problems. It actually ends up solving some more problems later on as we uncover more of the mystery.
yes. And I will
It's
say,
quite elegant.
yeah, it's again, it's a simple solution to like the issue, right? Like it's the simplest explanation to get it done, as like
Yeah.
outlandish as it is, right?
'Cause this is not only the person adopted by Richie Chieda, the big sis,
Yes,
it's
yes,
also the person adopted by Boss,
yes,
who we were curious about, and it's also quartz because Mizuki means crystal, and you can call that quartz. This explains like so many things that have been loose ends at one stroke.
yes. And
Before we even get into the deeper part of it, yeah, yeah,
well, and it's I guess if you were extremely astute, um, the funny thing is, Uchikoshi kind of tips his hand like at the very beginning of the game when he asks who got shot in the leg in the first game, and the answer to that is Mizuki. Um,
right.
and if you're looking at the character models between the 6 years ago, oh well, oops. I guess I spoiled that. Anyway, if you look at the character models as you're playing the game as like Mizuki in both timelines, uh, there's like a scar on, or like a mark on the younger one's thigh
Ah,
where
so
she
you
got
could figure
shot.
that out, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, so it's like he gives you a hint at the very beginning. Like if you were actually looking out for it, you might have noticed it. Um, Honestly, if I was like playing the game and I had noticed that, I would have just thought it was probably like a crappy animation job.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not like super super noticeable. But I did think it was worth mentioning that yes, the character models are slightly different.
Interesting. I like that.
So
Um,
yeah, so we figure out who the masked woman is. It's you, kind of.
uh, kind of. Yes. Yes. And this again brings us back to Mizuki's origins and like why she's so awesome. The masked woman has similar powers.
Hmm.
The masked woman was shooting at her at the beginning to try to prevent her from getting too close to this mystery and to protect her. Uh, so we were pretty on target with some of our guesses about that stuff. Um, their resemblance is notable even with the mask on, I think.
Yes. And yeah, she was never actually trying to hurt Mizuki. Like again, that's why she shot the rubber bullet. Um,
Yeah.
and it all makes sense, especially going back to the somnium of the masked woman. I guess her name is BB,
Oh, right. Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
not to go back to a game that we played even before Mother 3. I wonder if this is a reference to 2B,
Oh, interesting.
right?
Could
Like
be.
BB.
Could
Like
be.
yeah, I mean, 2B is like way too big, or I've seen way too many near stuff to think that that's like just a coincidence that she goes by BB.
I hadn't thought of that at all, but I like that a lot. Um,
I haven't been able to see anything on like the internet that confirms or denies that, but the Wikipedia for the Somnium Files is severely lacking.
we got to add to it. We got to
Yeah,
throw that in there.
yeah. So that's the ending that we get. Uh, if we go to the one safe, if we open up the other one, uh, I forget exactly how we end up where we do. Is that where we find what's in the
I think
freezer?
that's Gen's ending.
Yes.
Yeah, with the mysterious freezer finally is opened. It's like, there's a body in there, of course. Well, half of one. Um,
Yes. And this is
but there's
half.
again,
Go on.
there's more. There's more. This half, we don't know who it is, but we remember there was a fifth victim whose DNA didn't match any known person.
Yes.
And so this is that person.
Yes. And he
And
has a noticeable birthmark on the left
indeed,
side of his cheek.
yeah, and you can't really get a good look at it from this view just yet, but that's yeah important to remember. Um, the There's a bit of like investigating when part of Komeji is found. I don't remember if this happens before this or not, but around this time we learned that the thing Komeji took was not the MacGuffin. Actually, like we thought it was. In his suitcase, what he took was a half of a body. Um, and so that's another kind of clue that we need to bear in mind and be watching out for.
Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, what ending? When do we end up in the cathedral? We find the other half of the.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think that is a portion of the lion ending still. I could be
Yes,
wrong.
I think you're right. I
Because
think
I'm
we
pretty
learn.
sure the no, go ahead.
Yeah, because I know we go into the um, cathedral again. We talk to Shoma at a
Oh
certain
gosh,
point in
yeah.
time, and we're talking to him, and he kind of gives you the clue. I think we also learn that Shoma's, well, we learn of his status, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, we know now from somewhere.
That he,
Shoma is the eternal youth.
Yes,
This is important because, as we were pointing out before, like his art has not changed at all.
correct. Exactly.
Uh,
And it's also
Even Oda has like a different hairdo by now, but
yeah, no,
oh
everyone's grown up, but like again, Shoma's like conveniently absent. It's like, oh, he's 18 now. He can like motorcycle to the campgrounds by himself. He's at the campgrounds, and it's like so you just like don't see him for a while or on certain days,
yeah,
which is very convenient. Which is I guess that could be like the name of the game, just like convenience, um, because everything here just works very conveniently. But yeah, so
yeah.
so we talked to Shoma. He's like, yeah, I figured out bats for 90. When I went there, I was like the youngest person. And when he went there, Toki had like snuck up on Tokiko, who was like reading a diary.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think
The this again, like, why didn't they like fully investigate the cathedral at any point before this? Why this is suddenly like, oh, now we'll use our X-ray vision. I don't get that. I don't know.
separation of church and state, my man. You gotta have a good reason to go into a church.
I suppose. Uh,
As if
okay.
anyone actually
So,
follows police protocol here.
well, yeah, and even in the Gen and Amame ending, it's Boss who sends the SWAT team or whatever the equivalent is, the SAT team,
Yes.
um, to try to capture you because you are you are treated to yet another reveal on that route, which is that one of the Gens is actually Date.
Yes.
And
And they start hinting at it because you're talking to Aiba, and Gen just like starts like answering questions, and it's like, oh, well, can he hear us? Like, wait, can he read minds?
yeah,
And you're starting to think that maybe Gen has other superpowers, um, but no. He's when the SAT team gets called, he gets like pummeled, which is completely
yeah,
counter to everything that we had seen in the cathedral when he was like whipping people around by the legs and just like knocking them over. Um,
right.
and the Trugen does end up showing up, and that's
Yes,
where Mizuki gets the idea to what blow up the vending machine with the porno mags.
that's right. Aiba is the one who's like, I have an idea.
Ah, yes,
Aiba has
Aiba.
put it
Yes,
together,
yes, yes. And so they,
and yeah,
and so
throw it.
Date goes Super Saiyan,
Exactly,
and then
exactly.
they end up like in a.
Even with what?
Oh no, go on.
No, no. Even in his like cumbersome, Gen outfit, he's able to easily defeat all the Sat people. And yeah, then we go to the park again. Um, for some reason, they think that that's a safe place to go. Um, and then that's when it becomes a lot more tragic, really, really quickly. Uh, we have a sad ending this time
Yeah, I
with
don't understand
Gen and
why.
Amame.
I don't know why Mame went so crazy there.
I don't fully get it either, but I think that we get that explained possibly as we learn more about her. I don't fully understand her arc just yet either, though. So
Yeah,
um, she's under a lot of stress. Seems like.
yeah. It's not ideal. I think we also learned that Shoma and Amame are siblings.
Right. That is another big sis, right? This is a sister we'd kind of heard about a few times,
Yes,
um, and never knew who it was supposed to be.
and
But yeah, yeah,
I,
they have
I
different
love
parents, maybe though, right? Different mothers. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if they even have different mothers. I think their parents just got divorced,
Oh, okay.
and Amame went to go live with her mom, and Shoma went to go live with his dad. But I that makes
Uh,
sense, why Amame likes game shows so much, right? And why
yes,
Komeji was the like quiz master.
exactly, exactly.
Um, so that's
I like that a
interesting.
lot.
I also like when Mizuki when Shoma reveals this information to you. Mizuki's like, I had no idea that you guys were brother and sister. And he's like, why didn't you mention this before? And he's like, oh, well, I guess we do have different last names, but like, I don't know, it just never came up before.
Yeah. Again, the convenience or contrivedness of it, we just gotta kind of let that slide here.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, not
Uh,
not too important.
no, no, no. But everything's starting to fall into place now. All these relationships are being revealed, all the secrets. Um, yeah, this is the part of the game where it really snowballs, and I had a hard time like putting it down before I could, like, I had to finish it before I could put it down. Um,
Hmm.
but I
Yeah.
think at the diary at the cathedral, that's when we learn the password for the computer, and we can go back to the Somnium, the
Hmm.
masked girl
Yes.
Somnium.
We we get that Chikara is so blown away by seeing his son for the first time that he calls him omniscient, he calls him almighty. And so the one that fits is almighty in the 8 character passcode.
Did
And
did I?
yeah.
I'm not sure if I remember if I mentioned this. When they went to the cathedral, there was a half a body in the like sacrifice container vessel thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Indeed. So this is the other half of that mysterious person, presumably.
The fifth person.
Presumably. Hmm. Uh, so that's, yeah, that sort of rounds out our victim count so far.
Yes. So we, we,
Uh,
we know the five. We know we've at least encountered the 5 people who died.
10 halves, 5 people, and I love that Mizuki like just uses her pipe weapon thing instead of solving any puzzles here. She just like starts breaking
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Uh, she does still need Lion to open the safe, right? But she like breaks through the wall to see the body, and she breaks through the wall to find the safe with the papers in it. And that's where the comment comes in, like, "Ooh, a escape room designer would really hate you." So making fun of the player a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
So at this point, yeah, we can go down the other route. Um, we can so we've seen and heard like music and endings for our main characters so far, but we still don't know who Terror is. And so this route is, I guess, like the true ending, basically, where we're gonna find out. And this takes us back to the abandoned factory again, as we're looking for the missing Kazuna. Um, and there we encounter Terror and a bunch of goons. There's some quick timing. There's a betrayal, right?
mhm.
Uh, Ryuki, who's been kind of acting strange all along, has been apparently like blackmailed into serving Terror, and he betrays both Date and Mizuki here to save Tama, right? Because there's some kind of self-destruct system that's been installed in Tama, and so he has to. It's kind of like the cathedral all over again, right? Um, Only this time he succumbs to the Terror's wishes.
Yes. And much like
It's very sad.
the masked woman, Terror's face gets shot as well.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So Date appears, shoots the gun out of Terror's hand, and shoots the mask, and the mask cracks and breaks in half. So we see half of Terror's face, and it is Jin, or who we
Yes.
thought was Jin.
Yes.
It's not Jin. It's the face of Jin that we've been shown all along. Okay,
Um,
but this is where Tokiko also appears, right? And starts
yes.
to talk to you, and it's like, what is going on? And I think that this also is a point at which the game is sealed off. So if you go down this route before and you see Terror's face before finding out the rest of the stuff, you have to go and get all the other endings first because you can't progress beyond this. Your mind just implodes, I guess, at that at that point.
Yeah, I'm not
I'm not sure what
surprised.
the in-game explanation is exactly, but yeah, you can sync with Terror here, also. This is where the terror sync happens. Date uses the other syncing machine, which is like inexplicably still set up in this abandoned factory after the
Convenient.
first game.
How
It's
convenient.
awesome. It's great.
Everything just
Uh,
happens to work, right?
so he like anesthetizes Terror. Y'all sync with him to find out some info because you're trying to find Kizzy. And instead, what you find out is like all about Terror's kind of psyche, which is not pleasant. You know, he's been again experimented on. He's been imprisoned. He has an obsession with escape and
Hmm.
freedom, and so the Knight's teachings line up real nice with that. I don't know. I liked the puzzles in here because they are like very classic escape the room type stuff. They're fun
Yes.
to try to figure out.
Yeah, no, they
They're
were
cool.
they were actually fun. They were like logical, and yeah, they were very
Hmm.
um, harken back to kind of like the 999 or Zero Escape series, like escape rooms. And as a matter of fact,
They're classic.
one of the passwords was 999.
Yeah, no. I that was the hardest one for me to figure out. I feel so like obviously, but I had a hard time figuring out what that room wanted me to do with the direction arrows. So
I
that
still
one I
don't.
had to look up. I'll confess.
I did
I
not.
was like, okay,
I was running out of time, and I like didn't
nice.
have any other clues, so I just entered 999. So I'm still not
Oh,
sure. I'm
nice.
still not sure what that room wanted from me. Um,
Yeah.
but I figured it out just kind of by like out of necessity or under duress, which
Well, that's very in line with the games. Yeah.
exactly
Your
like, oh
powers came through.
yeah, yeah, no, it's great. So it's weird, because I guess the whole time that we're doing this, I thought it was Jin, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Sure looks that way.
yes, but it turns out that it's not Jin.
Well, kind of sort of I mean, it's partly Jin, right? They are being kind of merged together, these two. Um yeah, and the explanation runs it's like explained a few different times. It's like they know the player's going to have trouble like just wrapping their head around this thing. So it turns out that the person with the birthmark on their face is actually Jin, right?
Hmm.
That's the child of Tokiko and Shikara, and the birthmark is a percent sign, right? So
Hmm.
it's like fated to be a great person. That is also the first victim of terror back 6 years ago in the game show, right? Like that is also Jin's body. But what is not Jin's body is the face of terror that is revealed. Turns out that that is actually the kid who was
Abducted.
kidnapped
Yep.
from Aoyan Garden, orphanage, and whose name turns out to be Uru. It's a good name. And they have been used all these years as essentially organ harvesting a source for Jin,
Yes, his
who as
DNA was very similar, or was the most similar of anyone that they could find. So
yeah,
that's why he was abducted, um, and used basically as, yeah, like an organ donor.
yes, and kept in the basement against his will, of course, right? Um, and eventually they have to take not just his inner parts, but also his skin, the face. Uh, Half of the face is replaced.
Well, yes,
Um,
Jin had the condition where the tumors were growing on the right side of him.
hmm
So
hmm
yes, so basically he needed an entire new right side. Um, and
Yep.
that's why. But they did not want to touch the face because of the mark of the order of the percent. But
Right.
why?
So the left.
But
Okay,
okay,
go
so
ahead.
why was all the pictures look like Jin uh, has the same face? Ah, well, because it's computer generated, and that's why no one had actually seen him out and about. Um, because he never actually left, and it was just like computer generated. It's like, oh, okay, fine, fair enough. I just
Yep.
accepted it. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I think that's consistent with what they were saying through the game.
It's cool. I mean, it's again a case where technology is working within the game in a way, um, along with all the AR, augmented reality kind of stuff. This is another example. It's like, yeah, the kind of misinformation and doctoring of images and stuff. Anyway, so that explains everything, right? They took DNA from the organs of the burned body at the start of the game, and that DNA matched the body that was found um, in the middle of the soccer field. And so the reason is because the organs were taken from that person's body, even though they weren't actually Jins, right? And so this is a very neat explanation for that kind of original mistake of the investigation of not knowing who this person was.
Yeah,
And
I think they had to take the DNA from the organs because the body had been incinerated.
exactly,
Which,
exactly.
again,
So,
is this all part of some convoluted plan where we know that this was exactly going to happen? Who knows?
well, so that's the thing. This is not like even the big reveal yet. This is just like, okay, now we sort of know who our cast of characters is. We finally like know who Terror is and what motivated Terror, and that's all very nice. Okay, but how is Tokiko there? Right? She was killed. She's gone. What is going on with that? Um, yeah. It's it's revealed by Mama at this point, or shortly after around this point in the game, anyway. Um, that there is yet one more character known as Freyr who we have to account for.
Hmm.
Mama is talking to Freyr, and Mama appears to be in one of her trances when this is happening. Um, and we had that whole Frey to free thing at the very start, and the mysterious like breaking of the fourth wall that happened there. So we are still like having the rug pulled out from under us a little bit as we go. Um,
Yes,
this
and even
Freyr,
well, sorry,
yeah,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
gonna. Yeah, well, Tokiko even says like, "Are you a Freyr?"
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right. It's not explained like how we've been jumping around in time, right? And I think that kind of goes to this same problem of like, is this technology? Is this mystical? Quasi-religious? What's going on,
Right.
basically? Um, and so this idea seems to be like genuinely believed by Tokiko and the Nikes people that they're going to develop enough bugs and problems with the game to where they're going to break free, um, and that you are like an important part of that plan. You, the player, are the Freyer, um, and so the timeline, it turns out, has been misleading you this whole time, right? The flowchart has been totally messed up
Yes.
because not only are you playing as two different characters, right? Or what you thought were two different characters. It turns out that you've also been jumping around between Big Sis and Mizuki to do some of this investigating. Um, and the stuff that was happening in the 6 years ago and the stuff that's happening in the present have been like gradually blurring together. And you can sort of notice this a little bit like each time a body is found 6 years ago, it's found like a day later in the present
Hmm.
timeline. And so there's like a kind of braiding effect that happens. And Mama points out that you can just take the two timelines and you can um, switch them like four X's or like a strand of DNA. And
Yes.
this like helps explain like why certain things are happening with Ryuki's timeline and Mizuki's timeline, and how like the true order of events makes sense, so that these bodies are not found 6 years apart, but are found a day apart instead. So there's three bodies killed 6 years ago, each
Hmm.
half found a day apart,
Hmm.
and there's three bodies killed in the present, each half of the body found a day apart. And it's like, whoa, what is going on?
Yeah. Did
The
did
player and Mizuki are confused by this, right? Like we didn't see this coming at all. I was blown away by this. I thought this was so cool.
I? Yeah. So I was the same as you. I think I like it first started like to dawn on me when like I started having like suspension of disbelief. I'm like, wait, what the hell is going on? Like with Komeji, like when we were
Yeah.
investigating his death, I'm like, this,
Yeah.
wait, this
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Like, what the hell is going on? That's when I really like started to be like, wait, am
Yeah.
I like missing some? Do I need to go back and play this? And it was shortly
Yeah.
thereafter that yeah, you learn, and you know that we've the Freyer, if we are the Freyer or the player, has been kind of
Mhm.
like primed to do this, right? Like a lot of the solutions of our puzzles were X's and
Yes.
taking words and numbers and kind of like rearranging them in a way similar that the timeline was.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. It's the balloon game all over again.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
I know.
so
It's cool.
yeah, it's wild, and it explains a lot of things. So, um, the masked girl, BB, she had the heart problem that was exacerbated by Ryuki shooting her with the electric stun gun when they first
Mhm.
confronted
Mhm.
Terror. Um, so that's why she like hated Ryuki and was like so cold to him
Mhm.
anytime that he saw that she saw him. Um, Yeah, so there's like so many things if you go back and you play. And I haven't played the whole game again, but
S
everything is
so
very
that's where
consistent.
I'm willing to trust that that's true. Like, I have not by any means started to think through all of the points where I was like, "What is going on?" And whether this actually, like, clarifies that, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna say, "Yeah, that kinda makes sense." Okay, so Ryuki's got some issues because he was hit with TC Purge, right? That's also revealed here.
Mhm.
So that's why he's been hallucinating and blacking out, and, his flow of time is obviously all mixed up because of that. And then, yeah, the two Mizukis, right, explain how you can be doing stuff as Mizuki um, all along, but some of that stuff turns out to be in the past, right? Because this 6 year older original Mizuki is the one you were seeing from her point of view. Um, and Date has had amnesia, conveniently, perfectly, like every other game character.
Ever.
Um, and has only just, jumped into the investigation. Um, so that that whole thing with the cathedral, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
he saw something on the news and it like sparked it triggered him like remembering everything, and he that's why he came back.
and there are two cathedrals. So there's one that's buried, never was like fixed or anything, and then another one next to it that's like a mirror image,
Yes.
with a different, a different point of access, so that people doing these videos could get to it. Yeah, it's very tidy. The underground, stairways and the pedestal and everything form a giant X, and the TC Purge, device or whatever is down there in a box. Thing that we had thought uh, that Komeji had taken. Instead, it was there to like hit all of the people who were smart enough, dedicated enough to find it. It just hit them with the TC Purge,
Yeah.
right? And so then they would be like, under the illusions that Terror and Nikes wanted them to be under. So the question now is like, so wait, so who's been killing people since Terror was killed? The Uru body that was found in the middle of the field, and then found in the underground altar. Who killed that person? Like, why then have bodies started to pile up again, right? Tokiko, who killed
Hmm.
her? And who's the other one in the present?
I don't know if there's another one.
Um,
I thought it was just those two.
Oh, okay. So that's five. Oh yeah, that's five. There's three in the past and two in the present. Gotcha, gotcha. So I'm okay. I'm still
It's hard.
not sure. Yeah, I'm still not highly sure that I'm gonna like the answer here because all of the signs are pointing to Amame. Amame is looking super suspicious right now,
Uh-oh.
and Shoma too. Poor kid.
Well,
So
I will not spoil it for you.
okay,
But I think we are you are very close to the end of the game.
nice.
Like I'm not. I think this might be the last Omnium that you do.
I I kind of hope so because I don't know how much more of this I can take. Like the switcheroos and the convenient um solutions that just like I don't know. I hope I get to Moksha. I gotta say,
Oh,
I want to reach Moksha.
I think we all will.
Okay.
Eventually, I will keep on banging my head against the wall until I find that bug. Um, but yeah, so I think so. Yeah, it's crazy. I think what I appreciate about the game the most is just that it doesn't take itself like too seriously. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
these like they like acknowledge that this is all like super convenient stuff and it's self-referential. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it is stretching credulity. Yeah, I think that's the proper word.
Mhm.
It,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a little insane. There's a lot of twists and turns. I will say that as soon as I finished the game, well, as soon as this reveal was made, right, that the timelines there was actually like you're jumping back and forth. Um, uh, I was like, wait, I need to go back and like replay this game like right now to figure out like
Mhm.
what the clues were. I never did that. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it answers a lot of questions, and I think one of them that you had was like when Shoma was in the Ferris wheel,
Oh yeah.
and then
Yeah.
so we see him at night, and then I guess like the seams are right each day, right? So like at midnight, and that's when every time you jump 6 years either forward or backward. And
Exactly.
so like yeah,
Exactly.
on the one you're like watching him at like 11:59 um, p.m. and then it's like the next day it's like it's like 12 and he's like still at the Ferris wheel and he disappears
Mhm.
because basically you jump 6 years ahead of time. Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
I like
no,
that a lot.
it's I have not been able to find anything that's a huge glaring like inconsistency. Um, there are some like things you just have to assume are true again, like Mizuki looking identical to her clone
Mhm.
in terms of
Right.
clothes and hairdo and all that stuff.
It's yeah, and the fact that they both have the same scooter. I was like,
Yes,
okay,
identical. Yeah, 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 yeah,
their tastes are very alike. Yeah,
yeah,
which I guess makes sense.
yeah.
Uh, so it raises some interesting nature versus nurture questions. But no, I mean it's interesting too that the dedication of each of these people uh, is kind of like tangled up, right? Like the ways that characters are resolving their storylines are always like that they're bound closer together by the end of it. So I really like that theme of it of thinking about the different ways that some of them are romantic, some are family, some are something else, I guess, like a kind of friendship, or just like the way that Ryuki looks up to Date. There's a kind of a special like Japanese thing of senpai looking up to a role model
Yeah.
relationship there. So yeah, I
I,
think
s- I,
it's very satisfying.
I still think Ryuki is a clone of Date, but
Mm,
because if you look at like what his actually looks like in the first game, um, it's very similar. I will say, we've kind of just neglected the fact that the Nirvana Initiative is still going on. That there was a test run
yep.
on the
Oh yeah,
top.
there's some rockets.
There were rockets, red glare. So that was like just the rehearsal. Um, and I believe, do we know what the plan is yet?
Well, we know that they're supposedly like what we've theorized is that they're going to put the purge on the warhead and shoot it somewhere that it will spread,
Yeah.
like worldwide. Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the plan.
So despite the fact that we have figured it out and Terra is already dead, uh, his plan is still in motion. So that's what we got. That's the final thing, right? That's what we got to resolve at this point.
Mm, mm.
Just to
Well, and who's killing him, or who did kill him?
Well, I mean,
Um,
does anyone really care? Is that really even like a huge mystery?
I think so.
Eh,
It's revealed that Shoma, the Eternal Kid, has a bunch of explosives, and Gen is trying to protect Amami, of course. But then Amami turns herself in, so that's what makes me think it's not her. I guess the fact that she's willing to go with you doesn't
yeah,
put up a fight.
but we already know he's dead. We already know Terry's dead. Who cares? He's the bad guy, right? Doesn't matter how he died.
Mm, hmm, I don't know.
All right.
I
Well,
think it
no.
might matter.
Yeah. Well. I guess I'm sure you will finish the game by the time we talk next week.
Yeah,
So we can discuss your
definitely.
thoughts on that then. Um, but yeah, no, I'm glad that you enjoyed the twist. And it's almost like literally a twist, right? Because you're like twisting the
Yes.
timelines around. Uh,
Yes.
I don't know. I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was really cool. I think it's like I don't want to say like dumber in the sense that it's like stupid, but just
Right.
campier than like the first one, like less serious.
Yes. Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
by the way, when you beat the
Uh,
game, you can buy a. It's like Escape from the Third Cabin is one of the bonuses. It's like you play the first room of 999 all over again, but
oh,
you play as
cool.
Iba.
Uh, that's awesome. I like that there's a kind of overlap of those universes with the moon suits and
Yeah,
with that.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I guess
Mm,
that's it for this episode. But yeah, I think next week we should be finishing the game. Um,
mhm, mhm.
although we still have to see if we get that nil number to go back and talk to Tokiko. Hmm.
Oh, right. There's got to be some more hidden stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So listen, the game explicitly basically tells you at the end. It's they tell you the nil number, so it's not like some kind of like big secret. Um,
Okay.
but that is something just to be aware of.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for now, and we will talk again next week.
With the nil number in hand.
Yes.
Till then.
All right. See ya.